I said with mustard. Make it do.
Control is good. You can see how good as two commanders lead a planetary treasure hunt in Pikmin 2. With two-player mode, may the best scavenger win. Only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone.
I don't know what it is about that commercial, but there's something about it that bothered me. It also made me really want a hot dog. Hey, good evening, folks. Welcome to the Game Reserve. My name is Jagger Newman, and I'm the Warren in these parts. Hope you all had a good work week, and tonight we are playing Pikmin 2. This game was released in 2004, and it's a sequel to 2001's Pikmin. So, the original Pikmin was something of a surprise hit for Nintendo. It was a new IP, for starters, and on a brand new console. But despite that, the game ended up doing pretty well. It sold 1.6 million copies and received pretty good reviews from critics at the time. Needing more software for the GameCube, Nintendo immediately put a sequel into production, and it was released in 2004. One thing I find really interesting about the Pikmin series is that there doesn't seem to be a general consensus amongst gamers as to what the best game in the series is. I feel like an argument could be made for just about any game in the series, including Pikmin 2. However, of all the Pikmin games, this seems to be the one that is the most divisive. There are plenty of people who view this one as the best game of the series and think that it's a marked improvement over the first game, while there are others who feel that the changes they made were sort of ill-advised. And I'm sort of in that second camp. While I think Pikmin 2 is still a really good game, of all the Pikmin games, this is probably my least favorite in the series. I'm going to get more into why I feel that way, but yeah. And that's sort of reflected in the game's overall performance as well. While Pikmin 2 was still popular at retail, it wasn't as popular as the first Pikmin game, and I think its sales were much lower than the original Pikmin as well, because surprisingly copies of the original GameCube version are kind of hard to come by, and tend to be pretty expensive too. Even more if you're talking about the version of the game that was released for the Nintendo Wii. But yeah, why don't we go ahead and just jump right into the game. As to how I'm going to be playing this game, like the original Pikmin, I'm going to be playing on the Nintendo Switch, which as of now is the most readily available way to play this game. As I said, whether you're playing Pikmin on the Nintendo GameCube or the Nintendo Wii, it's gonna be a pretty penny to play that way. So this version of the game, I think it's only like 20 or 30 bucks, and you can buy it in the physical form with the first Pikmin as well. So I do recommend playing it this way. Check my sound real quick. Like 20 or 30. All right, let's do this. Oh, ain't that cute? And once again, another absolutely beautiful title screen. Not a lot was done to the logo, they've just added the two, and I love the color of purple that they picked for that. The white background's great, it's just excellent title screen. Go ahead, get started here. New game. Opening it with a little recap of the first game. Boom. It's still amusing that they call it an uncharted planet, even though we as the player know that that's planet Earth. Oh, this can't be good. That's not what I expected Planet Hocketate to look like. It's even less what I expected it to look like. The background is really cool. I like how you can see the rings of the planet. Yeah, and there's no voice acting in this game. Instead, they use some kind of funky gibberish, Banjo-Kazooie talk, I guess you could call it, for the voice acting. But the characters are still pretty expressive, and you get a good idea of what they would sound like, so your brain kind of fills in the gap. I feel that's why they used that method of speech so much back in the day, because it was a clever workaround for voice acting, sort of creating the idea of voice acting in the player's head without actually having it. Oh, that breaks my heart. That just sucks. You spent the entirety of the last game putting that damn thing back together, and they just go ahead and take it. And now we're left with that piece of junk. Yeah, imagine that. You survive a life and death situation and then come home to find that the company you work for is going under. What the hell is wrong with you, Louie? I wonder what the conversion rate on that is. So now we got our mission statement. So in our absence, the company has fallen on hard times, so there's treasure afoot on the planet, so suit up, Louie. We're going on a hunt. I gotta be honest, that's part of my issue with Pikmin 2. I just don't think the setup is as strong as it is in the first game. With the first game, that battle of survival that Olimar was having to undertake, it just felt more personal. This just seems, more like a typical treasure hunt. It doesn't feel like there are a lot of stakes to this setup. I'm sure he'll be fine. Somehow, we know how he fell out. Or dead. What's the hurry? Pikmin! There you go, little dudes. Help's on the way. It makes me wonder if these are the same Pikmin from the previous game, though. You think they would have grown flowers on their head by now? Alright, men. You know the drill. Get up! Alright, guys. Get him back to your onion. Or, where is the onion? Okay, so first we're going to talk about the controls, and it's pretty much the same how it was in Pikmin. You move with the right stick, you can move the camera with the... well, you move the left stick, move the camera with the right stick. B to whistle, and A to toss your Pikmin. If you hold the shoulder button, you can direct the Pikmin to charge. And that's about all there is to the controls. You can also disperse the Pikmin with the X button. But the big new feature with Pikmin is the fact that you can now play as two characters. So I push the Y button, and I switch to Louie. Shame. So yeah, so you can switch back and forth between Louie on the fly, and as you can tell, there can be a pretty good amount of distance between them. And this is actually a really good feature of the game because it allows you to multitask a lot easier than you could in the first game. So you can have Olimar supervise some Pikmin performing one task, and then you can switch to Louie, and you can continue on with exploring. Really good feature, really glad they added that, though it's a little disappointing that there's not a co-op feature here. There is a multiplayer mode, and I was hoping to have a Star on here to play with me, but they had some bid scheduling conflicts, so had to fly solo on this one. I'm hoping that they can join me for Pikmin 3 whenever I get around to that. And the Pikmin are still just downright adorable. I love these little guys. It is a little aggravating that they feel the need to give you a refresher course on the gameplay. But, it would have been nice if you had the option to skip that. Louie. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm not the biggest fan of Louie as a character. He's just so unlikable, despite the fact that he barely says a word. He caused this whole situation because he couldn't resist eating the carrots that he was transporting. And in later games, he just continues to be nothing but a nuisance, so, and, like, he's not that bad in this game. I mean, he does help Olimar out, but you kind of get the sense that he and Olimar don't really like each other. And in later games, Louie just kind of becomes a punching bag. I get the sense that the people behind this game just didn't like the guy, and a lot of Nintendo fans agree. He's up there with Slippy as one of the most hated characters in any Nintendo game. Gotta build up the Pikmin. Yeah, it would be nice if you could skip all this, but... you know, Olimar has been away for... you know what? Olimar hasn't been away from the Forbidden Planet for that long. So you think that when he got right back to the planets, that the onions would just come back to his side, and you would have all the Pikmin he had from the previous game. It does kind of feel like you're starting from scratch, which isn't very good, considering that this game takes place right after the first Pikmin game. But hey, what can you do? That's par for the course with a lot of Nintendo games. Damn, all this talk of food, carrots, and, you know, the hot dogs in the commercial. Now I'm really hungry. I might have to eat something before, you know, I'm done here. Not before I'm done, when I'm done here. Yeah, what was your first clue? Alright, so I need to link up with Olimar, it said, so we're gonna head around here. And... Alright, boys. Get up on the back there. And now we switch to Olimar. What's up, dog? Yeah, like, Louis doesn't react at all. It's like, he's just so indifferent to everything that happens, it seems. I don't know if I would call this a troublesome start to the trip. I mean, previously, my ship wouldn't even fly, so... at least here, I'm not alone, and there's less to worry about. Just like with the previous game, you can direct the Pikmin to carry items. In this case, they'll take that to the onion. You need a certain amount of Pikmin in order to move an item. And if you put double the amount on there, they'll move faster. So you want to be sure to do that. So let's dig this battery out. While they're doing that, I'm going to have Louis head to the onion. So that when the other Pikmin spawn, I can just immediately pluck them. And see, like, this is actually a really good introduction to the idea of the dual character system. It just still feels a little redundant coming off of the first Pikmin, since you're having to, you know, basically be shown everything again. Alright, let's go help out the other Pikmin. Alright, hop to it, boys. Most of the time you can just direct them into it in a crowd, but sometimes it is required that you throw them at it, which is a little annoying, but hey, what can you do? Alright, let's head back to the ship. And I still really like how Olimar and Louis are animated. It almost looks like they're skipping. It's just really funny with their body types. Would be interesting if you could throw the other playable character, though. As you can see, though, this can take a while. I wish I had more Pikmin to speed this up. Probably making for a pretty boring live stream right now. Hopefully I get to something exciting before the hour is up. Lift with your legs! Your tiny, tiny legs! Good work, men. Yeah, and a lot of the items you find throughout the game are also licensed material. I think that's an actual battery brand there. You find stuff like Game Boys, Game & Watches, stuff like that. It's actually a really clever piece of product placement. I like it. Yeah, so just like in the previous game, at the end of the day, you have to get in the ship and head into orbit because the Forbidden Planet is too dangerous for Olimar and Louis to stay on during the day. That much hasn't changed, but nope. It is kind of satisfying after a hard day of work. It is kind of relaxing to blast off into space and get that soothing tune. So relaxing. Yeah, so instead of a journal entry from Olimar or Blowy, you instead get emails from the chairman and occasionally Olimar's family. And while the messages can be really funny, it just doesn't get the same amount of character across that Olimar's journal entries did in the previous game. In the previous game, those journal entries really made you feel for Olimar's situation, and that's just kind of lost here. There is the treasure menu, where you can actually read Olimar's journal entries on it, and I think in New Game Plus, you can actually hear Louie's thoughts on everything. But, yeah, I just don't think the character comes across as strong as it used to. Anyway, let's head to the next day. See what kind of trouble we can get into. Well, you just let me play the damn game. I don't know, they seemed pretty capable when I left. Then again, this must be a new batch of Pikmin. Alright, troops, rise and shine. Daylight's a-burnin'. And I do mean that literally, because you look at the top of the screen there, you can see that the timer has actually started. So, I'm trying to remember what a day amounts to in Pikmin. Let's see here. It's 8:22 right now, so we'll use that as a reference. There is something of a grind here, having to take the time to build up your Pikmin reserve. Though it is significantly less time consuming this time because you got Louie who can stay at the crash site and bring the Pikmin to you out in the field instead of having to constantly make the trip back. Definitely need to get some more going. Oh, wait. Oh, that's neat. I never noticed that before. So when you switch to Olimar, you can hear Olimar say his name. Let's wait here. Olimar. Then you switch back to Louie. Louie. I can't believe I'm only just now noticing that. That's really cute. Alright, troops. Up on the bag. No problem. So I'm going to leave Louie over here. I'm going to carry on with Olimar. And just like with the previous game, when you encounter enemies, there are specific tactics that you can use to more effectively fight them. For example, little Bulbas. You can of course swarm them, but it's more effective to toss one of your Pikmin on them because they'll get squashed. However, the big Bulbas, I don't want to approach that guy from the front, so I'm going to approach him from this side because there's not teeth on this side. Attack! We lost some Pikmin. It's still heartbreaking when you lose Pikmin too. It makes you feel so bad. Alright, I saw some treasure over here, so let's get these Pikmin to the front lines so they can help Olimar. Go. Send Louis back. You're gonna need more hands. While you guys are over here, there's a flower up here you can get. Want to stay on that grind. The more Pikmin you have, the better, though you can still only take out 100 at a time. If you can match the color up to the onion with the pellets, you'll get more Pikmin than you otherwise would, so you want to try to do that if you can. Yeah, you notice I can outrun the Pikmin pretty easily too. You need to let them mature, which is signified by them developing a bloom or a flower. And once they have a full flower, they'll be able to easily keep up with Olimar and Louis. I'm probably saying Louis' name really funny, aren't I? Okay, so I can't take him any further, so send Louis back. Take control of Olimar, and while they're doing that, I can put these other Pikmin to work bringing down this wall. Just like in the previous game, there can be some waiting around as you wait for your Pikmin to complete tasks. It kind of makes you wish that you had a third player to play as, so that you could continue to explore while the other two are occupied with stuff. Which is something that they did for Pikmin 3. They do give you 3 explorers to play as. But it is still kind of a slow-paced game. As I said, this is probably making for something of a dull live stream. I think I got one other person watching this. I hope they're enjoying this. I appreciate who's ever watching if you want to sound off. I really wish more people would use the chat feature. You know, ask me questions about the game that I might not cover, might forget to cover as I'm playing. Unfortunately, I don't think I still have a big enough audience for these weekly showcases to, you know, have that happen consistently. Alright, as they say, more hands makes more work, so... wait. I always get that saying wrong. Now I got nothing to do but wait. Again, I know how to play the freaking game. Okay, what do we have over here? Ah, our first cave. Alright then. Alright, Louie, get your ass over here. Alright, men. Stay frosty. I didn't even realize it said that. We're in the snow. Yes. Alright, so this is the first of the caves in the game, and this is where the rules change. As you notice, while I'm in the cave, the timer isn't going, so I don't have to worry about the day timing out on me. And there's a lot of treasure down in these caves. You go into any one of these caves, and you're liable to knock out at least 10% of your debt. However, I'm honestly not a big fan of these caves. Just the simple fact that you're able to take your time makes them a little unappealing. And also the fact that they're kind of a visual bore. They're just these dark tunnels for the majority of the game, and while they do mix up the theme here and there, it's never as interesting as being out on the surface world, which was what you were doing for the majority of Pikmin 1. So, yeah, not a big fan of these, though they do make for interesting challenge levels, because unlike when you're on the surface, where if you run low on Pikmin, you can go back to the onion and get more. Here you only can use the Pikmin that come down in the tunnel with you. So at most you can only have 100. So yeah, but that's not really that big a deal because you have unlimited amount of time. You can take as much time as you need to really think about what you need to do. So like, I really don't like playing Pikmin without a time limit because, like, as an RTS game, I feel like one of the major components you need to have is some kind of opposing force. And while there are creatures to fight in Pikmin, they aren't actively seeking you out most of the time. The world in general is pretty indifferent to you. The main opposing force in the original Pikmin was the clock. You were always on the clock, you were always conscious of how much time you had, and that worked because it meant that you couldn't take your time to, you know, figure out a proper strategy. You had to, you know, get just a little bit reckless. So, yeah, well, these caves aren't terrible. I think they're kind of bad in concept. It's one of the things I don't like about this game. I'd much rather be out exploring on the overworld. It's kind of I think a lot of people agree with me too, because for Pikmin 3, they were removed once again. They did come back in Pikmin 4, and I didn't really care for them there either, but again, some people like the caves, some people don't. I personally don't like them. I'm curious what you guys would think, though. Write in the comments. Are the caves a good choice? That was quick. If only all the floors could be that quick. Charge! Go work, men. Get him to the pod. Alright, we got ourselves another treasure here. Inconceivable! I love that word. Alright, man. Let's get this thing out of here. And right away, you know that you're not going to be able to move this thing because you can only have 100 Pikmin. So, what's the deal there? Well, we're about to find out. So, let's gather up the Pikmin. We'll head forward. I like how the music changes slightly when you get to an enemy. Kind of reminds me of Banjo-Kazooie, the dynamic music and everything. And what do we have here? Can there be black roses in nature? I don't think there can be. I wonder if a botanist has ever made a black rose before. Alright. Toss in some Pikmin. What do we have here? Ah, new Pikmin. I like the sumo kata, that's great. Yeah, so this is one of two new Pikmin. So you got the purple Pikmin, which are heavier and stronger than, you know, the standard Pikmin, but they're also a lot slower too. As you see, they have a hard time keeping up with even the red Pikmin. And with these Pikmin, you can only get them by tossing your standard Pikmin into one of these flowers here. And each flower will only give you up to 5 Pikmin. So the purple Pikmin and also the white Pikmin, who you discover later, are incredibly useful and vital to conquering the game's tougher challenges. But because it's so much harder to come by them, they're going to become something of a commodity here. Whenever I play Pikmin 2, I'm always hesitant to pull out my purple or white Pikmin. And if I can, once I'm done with them, I'm always quick to put them right back in the onion because I don't want anything to happen to them. So, again, how are we going to move this thing? So, stick my Pikmin on it again. Alright, so again, the red Pikmin can't handle it, but watch what happens when I introduce the purple Pikmin. So yeah, purple Pikmin is the equivalent to 10 Pikmin. So I'll throw all my guys at him. And now they can actually move that thing. So again, because that's all I got, it's gonna be a while before they can actually make it to the onion. I think the purple Pikmin actually slow down the process of carrying these things, so while they can move the bigger stuff, it doesn't necessarily make them go any faster, but that is pretty frustrating because this is like watching paint dry for crying out loud. Come on, guys! You're almost there! Spherical Atlas, huh? Yeah, so it's clever that finding the spheres unlocks new territories for you to explore. That's a cute idea. You may have heard there a minute ago, the Pikmin are humming a little song. That's actually a really famous song that's appeared in a lot of Nintendo games. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. But again, it just adds to the charm of the game as you're marching. The Pikmin entertain themselves by, singing a little tune. What'd be cool is if you let them sit idle for a bit, they do a little dance. That would be really cute. This is how you get out of the caves. Cannonball! Team Rocket's blasting off again! Oh my god, that's so stupid. Yeah, as you can see, I knocked off a good chunk of the debt there. Excellent decision making. I didn't have a lot of decision making to do, honestly. Yeah, might as well call it a day. There's not much else I can do here, at least not until I get the blue Pikmin. Which I'm probably not going to achieve in the next 17 minutes. Alright, what's the chairman have to say? Yeah, anyone who's played this game knows that he's not going to be chipper for long because turns out he didn't go to Happy Hocketate Savings and Loans. He went to, I think it's all-consuming black hole loan sharking or something. So, yeah, as the days drag on, he'll disappear, he'll go into hiding, he'll be adopted by wolves or something like that. It's honestly pretty funny, and you would think you would need to clear the debt within a certain amount of time, but you don't. Pikmin 2, despite there being a time limit on the days, doesn't have a maximum amount of time that you have to spend playing. So with the previous game, you only had 30 days to find all the parts of Olimar's ship, at which point Olimar would either have to try to take off or he would perish. His fate would be dependent on how many parts you got. But in this game, there's no urgency. You can screw around as much as you like. And I know a lot of people found the first game really stressful, which is why they decided to take the 30-day limit off. But again, going back to what I was saying earlier about having to work against the clock, I just feel like, you lose a lot of tension without that time limit. I just feel like Pikmin is at its best when you're on the clock. However, it does make Pikmin 2 more friendly to newcomers. Though, if that was their intention, what they should have done is given players the option to play with a time limit or not. Like in System Shock, unless you play if you crank the difficulty on the story all the way up to 5, you only have so much time to stop Shodan. I feel like they should have done something with that. Yeah, and so I can pull out the purple Pikmin if I need them, but I'm going to leave them in there because I don't want anything to happen to those guys. I'm only going to start with 20 red Pikmin, though. So typically when I go to explore, I usually start by just starting out and then moving to the right. It's usually how I handle games that are big on exploration. I might not go in the right direction right away, but I'll eventually find where I need to go. And what do we have here? And you can still leave the Pikmin embedded in the dirt for a bit, and if you do that, they'll sprout flowers faster. Though, considering that I'm going to need more hands later on, right now it's just best to pull them. Alright. Back to the ship. The Pikmin can still be a little brain dead too. Like, in this case, it's kind of silly that they keep climbing the empty stalk to get the berries, even though they're not there anymore. They don't trip anymore, thankfully, and they don't get sidetracked by grass nearly as much. But, no, they still have a hard time with pathfinding, and it's not uncommon for them to stray into something that they shouldn't, like water or fire, which is aggravating, as you can probably guess. Definitely want to collect up these berries, though. Alright, while those carrying those berries, I'll put these guys to work on taking down this wall. Get a hold of Louie. Have him bring the other Pikmin. So what this is telling me is, so this is another new feature of the game. It's a power-up. So if you push down on the D-pad, Olimar will spray the Pikmin with this juice, which will temporarily make the Pikmin stronger. So it's important to stockpile the berries, because when you're faced with a powerful boss and you run low on Pikmin, that can really even up the odds. So best to make sure you're stocked with that. Gonna get some more Pikmin out of here. I see some Pikmin just standing around. Get to work, you lazy buggers. Sure, taking their time with that wall. And my last couple of Pikmin. Nothing much to do, but wait now. Like in the previous Pikmin, as you're waiting for the Pikmin to do stuff like this, you were still sweating a little bit because, you know, that's precious time you're not getting back, so... Like, I'm not demanding these Pikmin go any faster. I mean, again, the tension's just kind of lost here. Go work, man. That only took forever. Alright, man. Get him out of here. Alright, so how many Pikmin do we need to collapse this box? Alright, so I don't think I have enough Pikmin to do that right now. Alright, so there's actually an enemy around here, guys. Can you see it? Let me show you. One of them flowers has eyeballs. So I need to move past this thing very carefully. Oh man, that is terrifying. Get him in! Yeah! Good tactics, Ming. Get it back to the ship. That'll be our dinner tonight. And we got ourselves another cave over here. Where's this one go? Ah, there's Star right now playing, what is it? New Horizons. Oh no, I didn't want to go in there! I did not want to go in there. Damn it, Star, you distracted me. No way I'm gonna survive in here with just a handful of Pikmin. Well, this bites. Oh well, let's see what I can do with only a handful of Pikmin. Okay, boys, we're not done yet. Hey, you really want to be careful with the one that had pincers. Those guys can make short work of a Pikmin if you're not careful. Oh, look at what we have here. Man, lots of these little boogers. And I only have one spray in my bottle too, so I'm not liking my odds here. The Stone of Glory. I think that's a fitting title. That is probably Nintendo's greatest contribution to the video game industry. Alright, let's head lower. Did not mean to do that. Oh man, I am so gonna get screwed with this. Well, I got 4 minutes left. Let's see how long I can survive or how far I can get. If all your Pikmin die down here, you do have to go back to the surface, so... I might as well change them into, the tougher Pikmin. And when you have Olimar and Louie together, they'll go pull different sprouts, as you saw. That's the stuff you need to mature the Pikmin. You see the flowers bloom? Alright, let's head deeper. Yeah, selecting the individual Pikmin can be a little bothersome too. Like, when you only have 2 groups like this, it's fine, but when you have all 5 of them in one group, they won't always spread out far enough to where you can select the individual types. So, later in the game, it's not uncommon to think that you've got nothing but red Pikmin, only to have a stray yellow in there and see them burn to death. So, yeah, that's really annoying. Oh! Forgot I wasn't fireproof. You do unlock that power later in the game for Olimar and Louie. Last minute of the stream. What is this last piece here? Well, I'm probably not going to have time to get that to the end, because we're at the end of the hour. Okay, so, Pikmin 2. Again, this is still a really good game. It's full to bursting with content. There are some welcome improvements to the gameplay here, namely being able to multitask better with the inclusion of 2 playable characters. But a lot of the choices that they make in regards to the design of this game are going to divide some players. Personally, I don't think it's as good because, you know, they removed the time limit, so that sense of dread isn't there from the previous game. The plot isn't as good. Like, I don't feel for the characters like I did in the first Pikmin. And I'm not a big fan of the caves. It just kind of feels like I'm playing placeholder levels instead of exploring this big, sprawling, living ecosystem like in the first game. But at the same time, I can see why people would like those changes. The removal of the time limit does make it more beginner friendly. The first game could be a little stressful for some people. I'd argue that is the point, but I can see the argument for why people prefer not having it, especially those who really want to explore. And while I'm not a big fan of the caves, they are a pretty good challenge. Just I feel like they would be more challenging if you were having to make decisions on the clock as opposed to, having to take your time to figure things out. So whether or not Pikmin 2 is going to be better or worse than the first Pikmin, it's really going to come down to player preference. I do not think that this is better than the first Pikmin. I much prefer the first Pikmin. And I also prefer Pikmin 3. I might even prefer Pikmin 4 over this. Outside of Hey Pikmin, this is probably my least favorite game in the Pikmin series. But the worst of Pikmin is still really good by the standards of any other video game. So still gets a high recommendation for me. Pick it up on the Nintendo Switch if you've never played this before. And if you haven't played it, also try the first Pikmin as well. But that's going to do it for tonight, guys. If you enjoyed tonight's content, please be sure to like and subscribe. I do these videos every Saturday at 8 o'clock. And what I do is I take a video game and play it for about an hour and just talk about the design and history behind it, as I'm really passionate about that stuff and I just want to talk about it. Hopefully find other people who want to talk about it too. I do not play games from start to finish because I feel like you are missing something if you aren't playing the game yourself. And the purpose of the Game Preserve is to showcase these games and encourage other people to give them a try. But no disrespect to anyone who would just prefer to watch someone play a game start to finish on YouTube. That being said, if there's any game you'd like me to cover in this format, please leave it in the comments. If I feel it's worth looking at, I'll go ahead and add to the list. But that's going to do it for tonight, guys, and hope you all have a good work week.